back to another video under Cracked Wide Open, where we crack consciousness wide open. I'm Sheryl, I'm your host today. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the present moment. The present moment holds the key to salvation. It holds the key to liberation. You won't and you can't find the present moment while you're in the mind. Thinking and consciousness are not synonymous. It's only a small aspect of consciousness. Thought cannot exist without consciousness, yet consciousness can exist without thought. Enlightenment means to rise above your thought, to know you're not the thoughts in your head. Most are under and below thought. If you can rise above thought, it's very liberating. The mind is the voice, is the commentary of the past and the future, right? It's a phantom, it's a mental image of who you are based on your personal and cultural conditioning. It's called the phantom self-ego. Its mind activity is kept going by more thinking and more commentary, the voice in the head, speaking about the past, speaking about the future, and all of it is false. If you can observe the thought and watch it, you will become aware of this beautiful inner stillness, and you will have the ability to turn this innate dialogue off. It's involuntary. That's the on-off button switch I talk about. You'll give your mind more purpose, more focus, and you'll be able to handle practical matters in a much better way. I've stated before that the mind is the seed for the body. If it creates a thought, that thought creates an emotion, and now that emotion is going to be reaction, and that reaction is going to be in the body, and you are going to act it out physically. It has a physical component to it, and it will become a manifestation of anger, fear, angst, or whatever the voice in the head is saying to you. Emotions, you have a phantom mental image, as I stated, of who you are based on your personal cultural upbringing and your conditioning. And it's pseudo, it's phantom self. It's the mind activity that you keep going, that you keep it going by the thinking and the commentary that you keep alive in it. Ego is the false self. Its creation came about by unconscious identification with your mind. And it deals with past and present. It hardly even is aware of the current now, the presence or consciousness. That's dysfunctional. And the ego wants to be kept alive by its past, by its thoughts, by whatever it believes from your upbringing or cultural conditioning or personal belief systems. Without the past, who are you? Without those things, you don't know who you are. Yet the past cannot be changed or altered, can it? The past happened, and when it happened in the now, in the current moment, in the now. Or your ego is going to project you into the future. If I get this, if I just can get there, then everything will be okay. That's the ego ensuring its survival through its host, and you're its host. And the ego needs an enemy to survive, and it's going to poke at you. And let's say you have the ability to control your behavior, and it doesn't elicit a response in you because you're really good at managing your behavior. Now it's going to try and elicit a response in other people to feed back upon itself. This is why I keep saying it's imperative for you to understand that the mind is the seed for the body. And if you're feeding the mind the mental commentary about your past or trying to get somewhere in the future, it's going to cause an emotion in the body and act accordingly. And this is what I want to discuss today. I kind of toggle between mind and no mind, consciousness and unconsciousness, right? No mind is conscious without thought. It's possible to be more creative. Thought has real power this way. I'm using it that way. Thought, when it's not connected to consciousness, becomes really destructive, becomes insane. Look at social media, 9/11, the Holocaust becomes chaotic and even psychotic. And emotions are the response to a thought. It's the reaction your body's going to have based on the thought you're thinking. The mind is a very powerful tool if used in the right way. I've explained thought is fleeting. Consciousness gives rise to thought. It's just mental static. It doesn't mean anything. Nothing's good, bad, or indifferent until you assign meaning to it. It's only what the mind says is so, right? And if you have a commentary telling yourself it's bad, then it's bad. Or if you have a commentary saying it's good, it's good. So the thought is just the mental static. The commentary that you tell yourself is true. And ego, my friends, is the unobserved mind. And it needs enemies to survive. You can look around and you can sometimes be aware of it in other people. It's much harder to see in yourself. I want to discuss what a thought does to our body and how that emotion causes a reaction, and that reaction causes a dis in the body, and that dis becomes a disease. Emotions are the body's reaction to what the mind is saying is true. And emotions arise at a place where the mind and body meet. It's the body's reaction to the mind, which causes that manifestation of acting the emotion out in the body. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have a real pleasant thought. You have a real happy thought. That's going to create a real happy, positive energy. It's going to build up in the system. You're going to think a thought of joy and harmony or happiness, and it's going to manifest itself in emotion, in a reaction in the body, and you're going to feel relaxed, harmony, balance. Let me flip the switch though. Let me turn the coin over. Let's say you have a real hostile thought. That hostile thought's going to create an energy built up in the body that's negative. And now you're telling the autonomic nervous system in the body, I have to get ready to fight or flight, and specific hormones are going to be released, and you're going to want to fight mentally, emotionally, or physically, or flee. So that's the conundrum. All emotions are the body's reaction to what the mind says is true. And it's only through this disidentification with the mind that liberation and salvation can take place. How do you do it? You have to be a vigilant watcher. You have to watch your emotions. You have to watch your thoughts. Remember I told you, if you have a thought, thoughts are fleeting. Don't assign it commentary. The minute you assign it a commentary or tell it something, you're down the rabbit hole. You're already engaged in it. Disidentify with the mind and walk the thought like a dog. That's a pointer. If there was a Rottweiler down my street with a collar and a leash on, I'm not going to engage it. So do the same thing. Act like the thought is the Rottweiler. Don't engage the thought. If you don't engage the thought, it cannot create an emotional reaction within the body, can it? So the seed is the mind for the body, and that's why I say it's imperative that you understand this. It's only through this disidentification with the mind that salvation and liberation is achievable, and you have to watch your emotions and watch your thoughts, that you can become aware. And when you do that, you create this space. And the more you identify with, let's say, your thinking, your likes, your interpretations, your judgments, your resentments, your dislikes, your harboring a pain or worry, the less conscious you are, you're unconscious. And if there's conflict between the mind and the body, the thought is going to be the lie, the illusion, not the emotion in the body. The emotion in the body is going to be not the ultimate truth, but the relative truth to what the mind is telling you at the time. Conflict between surface is thought, right? Thoughts and unconscious mental chatter is very, very common. Go look at social media and you'll see how common it is. 9/11, Holocaust. That's just two. And I'm sure you can mention several of your own, right? If you go somewhere and you observe it in other people, if you can observe it in other people, ask yourself, can I observe it in myself? Unconscious mind activity bring it into awareness. And as soon as you bring it into awareness, you create a space, right? And it's always going to be a reflection in your body. The emotion is always going to be the true telltale sign of what's happening, not the actual thought you're having. So I want to suggest a few things for you guys today. I want to, remind you to do tapping techniques. I want to remind you to go outside and earth yourself in bare feet. I want to remind you to try and settle the mind. Walk it like a dog. Walk the thought like a dog. That's a pointer. Yes, that's all I can do is give you pointers and just go. Be vigilant. And as soon as you are vigilant and keep doing that on a regular basis, the thought will become less and less and less. And if there is no thought, the thought can't create an emotion. Therefore, you can't have a reaction in the body that's being manifested. So you have the on-off button. You can turn it on, you can turn it off. So what are you feeding the mind? Be sure and share the content, guys. Comment below. If you have questions, ask them. I'd love to answer. I am Star Delta 9. My name is Sheryl. Thank you so much for your precious time here. Please try and keep in mind the present moment is the key to liberation, to salvation. You won't and you cannot find the present moment while you're in the mind. Namaste.